Welcome to Women's Health Live. And today is National Checkup Day. So we are excited to answer any questions. You can put them in the chat or you can actually email them. Many people got the link. It's Cindy at naturalhealthcollaborative.com. And we're so excited to invite Dr. Phil up to uh, enlighten us.
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity and welcome women. So today, I wanted to speak about the thyroid health. Um, I am a functional medicine health consultant, and I previously practiced medicine and then switched to functional medicine to work on things such as gut health, as well as brain health, and my energy and focus. So today, I think the thyroid's important to talk about because number one, why is it important? Because hypothyroidism or underactive thyroid is frequently misunderstood, it's underdiagnosed, and a lot of the times it's due to an autoimmune phenomenon. And so the thing is that we need to have appropriate lab testing, not just standard TSH and T3 or T4, which most practitioners test for, but looking at things such as thyroid antibodies, free T3 and free T4, free T3 being the active hormone. And then I want to provide you with a quick framework, which is called find it, fix it, and then fuel the system. So we need to find it first, and that includes a lot of times we have women have symptoms such as feeling cold, having hair loss, having low energy and fatigue, and brain fog, and they really don't understand why. So we need to find it, and we need to test for a full thyroid panel, which includes free T3, free T4, and the thyroid antibodies, because a lot of times the thyroid problems are due to an autoimmune problem. And the thing we have to understand is that the thyroid is not just a glandular problem, but it really reflects an immune and metabolic event. And so we need to figure out what's going on with that. And then we need to look at what's optimal versus normal, because the lab has normal ranges and we are looking for optimal ranges, which are different. The next category is to fix it. And this is a big category because we need to look at the triggers. So the most important triggers that we're looking at when it comes to thyroid disease are food sensitivities. Most importantly, a lot of times it's due to gluten. Number two, we're looking at environmental toxins, also looking at gut imbalances, as well as whether there are issues with sleep, insufficiency, and then nutritional gaps. And so just a little bit more about that in terms of food sensitivities. As I said, gluten, when we're looking at environmental toxins or endocrine disruptors, we're looking at things that perhaps people have personal care items that may have different toxins in them, or we may be exposed to heavy metals or waterborne type of toxins, anything in the environment. Next, we want to look at nutrient gaps, and we're talking predominantly about vitamin D, selenium, iron, and zinc, which are vital elements when we're talking about the thyroid. And we want to work through food predominantly. Also, making sure that we manage our stress and prioritize sleep and getting adequate protein and fiber with each meal. Then we talk about fueling the system, and that really involves eating enough protein with each meal and doing things such as resistance training, which can improve the conversion of T4 to T3. A lot of times, women have problems converting T4 to T3, T3 being the active hormone. They may be converting it to an inactive hormone, and we want to make sure that they're converting. And some of the things that help to convert are things like vitamin D, omega-3 fatty acids, as well as selenium and zinc and iron. And so the bottom line is that we want to talk about the issues where if we can give the thyroid what it needs, then the immune system will stand down. And we want to make sure that the thyroid is functioning properly. So I know that we are somewhat short of time, so I wanted to ask if there's any questions right now. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I do have a free ebook available about thyroid health, and so if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
So you had a three-part way for people to understand how to really go through the entire flow. Could you just repeat that so that I can make sure that we can share that readily?
Okay, so find it, fix it, and fuel the system. So find it, meaning to test appropriately, to have the practitioner find out and do a complete thyroid panel, which includes free T3, free T4, and thyroid antibodies. As far as fixing it, looking at things such as environmental toxins, nutrient gaps, such as vitamin D or zinc or selenium or um, other types of deficiencies, B vitamins perhaps. Uh, Number three, looking at sleep and sleep debt. Next, looking at making sure they get adequate protein and fiber with each meal. And also looking at environmental toxins and realizing perhaps swapping out some personal care items uh, just because they may be toxic, and also looking at the environment to see if there's any other environmental triggers that may be affecting thyroid health. And obviously, gut imbalances, because gut health is important in terms of overall thyroid health. And then the third aspect would be fueling the system, giving the body adequate protein with each meal, at least 30 grams of protein with each meal, as well as fiber. And then doing things such as resistance training, which can help to fuel the conversion between T4 and T3. And those things will be helpful. And, you know, then to not treating the thyroid as a gland per se, but looking at it in terms of a metabolic and immune system. And when we give the thyroid what it needs, then the immune system will stand down and it'll improve overall resilience.
That's wonderful. But how does someone, when they go get a checkup, know that they're having a problem with their thyroid or a possible problem? Besides
Very,
asking Dr. Google.
well, that's true. Another great question, because of the fact that, a lot of times people may have thyroid problems, they don't even know they have it, because a lot of symptoms such as, fatigue and brain fog are somewhat universal to many, many different things. But if they're just not feeling right, their other labs may seem normal. They should probably look in terms of finding and looking deeper. I think, unfortunately, a lot of women who are postmenopausal or who are having gut issues may not realize that they have a thyroid problem. So they probably should get a complete thyroid profile, especially if there are women who may be postmenopausal, should get their thyroid checked and get a complete panel just to be thorough and complete. Also, cold intolerance is one of the things that, or hair loss, are some things that may explain thyroid problems. So the answer to your question is that a lot of times it may be similar to other types of problems and illnesses, but if they're having, these symptoms combined with cold intolerance and hair loss, and they're postmenopausal, and they're having gut issues, that's something that they should ask their practitioner for a complete profile for the thyroid, and including thyroid antibodies to make sure we're not dealing with an autoimmune problem, which a lot of times we are.
So when they ask for a complete You were saying panel?
Yeah, it's a
Um,
complete thyroid panel, right? That includes not just a standard T3, T4, TSH, which most practitioners do, or they may do either one, a T3 or T4, but they want to look at thyroid antibodies. They want to look at a free T3, a free T4, perhaps a reverse T3, because sometimes we're looking at thyroid that is not converting, or it may be converted to something that's inactive. And they may not be, even though their numbers may quote unquote be normal and follow the normal range, there are actually things that are optimal. So we have optimal ranges for thyroid, which are different than the normal ranges that we see on standard laboratory testing.
okay, so um, basically, you're suggesting that when they go to the doctor, they have a discussion. And
Correct.
how would that usually run?
Okay. They would say, Doctor, I really don't feel like myself anymore. And I know that we've done blood tests in the past. I feel that maybe there may be something else going on. It could be my thyroid because I don't have my periods anymore. I am having some gut problems, with gas and bloating. And I would really like to get a thorough, complete thyroid panel or profile that looks at thyroid antibodies to uncover if there's an autoimmune type problem, and also looking at the free levels of T3 and T4, because the free T3 is the active hormone. And so, please, if you could do a complete thyroid panel that includes all the different factors, I would greatly appreciate that.
Well, that's great advice on Women's Checkup Day. Well, thank you so much for all your wisdom.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
Mhm. And now I'm going to spotlight Cindy Terrell, and if she could come off. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Cindy.
Well, thank you for having me. I guess I'll share a little bit about myself. I like to say that active, high-performing women hire me to stop pushing through and start working with their body's natural intelligence. And through my five-pillar system that I'm calling Unleashed Radiance, I guide them to reclaim energy, master recovery, and create sustainable habits to stay powerful, clear, and in command the rest of their life. So I'm really thrilled to be here. And I know I came in to talk about the unstoppable woman mastering midlife transformation, but got to asking myself, what does that truly mean to be unstoppable? So I thought about it. And for me, it's not about pushing harder or forcing yourself through challenges. It's more about something more profound, more elegant, and infinitely more powerful. It's about tapping into that innate intelligence, that inner knowing that we're all born with. And it's to unlock and unleash the radiance that allows you to reclaim your inner knowing over your life and your well being. So today I'm going to dive into the essence of unleashed radiance, reclaiming your inner knowing through innate intelligence. So perhaps you find yourself in a season where the strategies that once served you no longer resonate. You're accomplished, you're capable, but there's a subtle, insidious drain, a feeling of being frazzled despite your best efforts. It's not just physical shifts in midlife. It can be that quiet disconnection from your inner wisdom, a feeling of pushing through rather than flowing through life. And you might be seeking answers, but that generic advice just feels inadequate. And it's a loss of your inherent inner knowing over your own energy and intuition because you're leaning into the noise of the external world. But what if I told you there's an elegant ancient wisdom interwoven with modern understanding that allows you to reclaim this command? A pathway not to just endure midlife, but to transcend it, moving beyond limits so that you can truly flourish. In my work, I combine ancient principles, behavior-based nutrition, and the profound belief in our innate intelligence. And my work guides the woman to reclaim that inner power. So I've walked this path, and I'm here to help you rediscover your body's exquisite language. So there's 3 points I'd like to share with you today. The first one is breath. It's often overlooked, and it's a very powerful tool. And it's not just about the air, it's the conductor of your nervous system, the direct pathway to your energetic command. So when we breathe consciously through the nose and into the diaphragm, we instantly signal that the body is safe, which takes us out of that fight or flight mode and puts us into profound calm. This simple act, you don't need to do it all the time, although it's advisable if you can stay in that state. It's your instant reset. And it's an elegant foundation for all other healing, believe it or not. And if you'd like to increase the inner calm, I invite you to add a humming to the practice when it feels right for you. So just to give you a quick overview of what that looks like, you just want to take a deep breath, but not be gentle with it. You go in through your nose, into the belly, and when you release, make it slower than the inhalation. And just that simple act, I feel calmer already. If you want to add the humming, that's just breathing in through the nose, into the belly. And when you release, you just hum. The note doesn't matter. It's whatever your body is guiding you to do. This is really about tapping into your body's knowing. The second point I'd like to make is nourishment. I like to look at the body as a temple, and your plate is the canvas for your vitality. So true nourishment isn't about restrictions. It's about choosing the quality products to create quality within the body. So that means choosing whole natural foods with the intention and honoring your body's unique rhythms. So when you think beyond the diet and into the wisdom of early dinners, way before electricity was interrupting all that, allowing your digestive system to rest and repair, avoid late night eating. Having that last meal before the sun sets is intermittent fasting the way it should be, aligning with the rhythm of nature. This isn't just eating, it's an act of profound self-reverence that fuels your radiance from within. And the last point I'd like to make is just honoring the body's natural rhythms. We're wired to be in rhythm with nature. So when you listen, you reclaim that innate power. And this means honoring deep wisdom of consistent sleep. Ideally, you want to aim for 10 p.m., but I know that's not practical for everyone, but consistency is key. It means weaving movement into your day, not just your intense workouts. Body's made to move. It means gentle walks, micro movements, and spending some time in nature is very grounding. And don't look at them as chores. These are elegant rituals that synchronize your internal clock with the natural world, allowing you to move from pushing through to effortlessly flowing. So these 3 foundational principles are just the beginning of reclaiming your inner knowing. If you're ready to dive deeper, to explore how these elegant strategies can be customized for you, I'm going to invite you to a complimentary immersive experience. I'm hosting a 60-minute masterclass called Unleash Radiance, your inner knowing blueprint for unstoppable vitality. And that's happening May 19th, which is a Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And here I'll unpack the 5 pillars of my method and will help you begin to embody your full command. And it's designed for high-performing women who are truly ready to stop guessing and start living in their most radiant, powerful life. I'll put the link in the chat as soon as I'm done here. So just consider the cost of not reclaiming your command is not just continued fatigue or feeling frazzled. It's a gradual dimming of your unique light, a persistent disconnection from your highest potential, in a future where you never fully experience the vibrant, overflowing life you were meant to live. You deserve more than just coping. You deserve to flourish. And imagine walking each day with that unleashed radiance, feeling truly in command of your energy, your focus, and your well-being. Imagine moving through life with profound balance and limitless energy, not just unstoppable, but truly overflowing. You have all that power within you to achieve this. So this is your invitation to tap into that power, to honor your innate intelligence, and to step into the most radiant, sovereign version of yourself. Your transformation begins now. So let me dig up that link.
So I just have one question for you.
Huh?
And I know that everyone has the ability to really start to notice their body,
Mhm.
but I think you're talking about an inner knowing.
Yes.
So, how would does breath help? Does sound help? What is really a good way for them to start to be aware of what their body needs and wants?
That's a great question, and it's a combination of all that you mentioned. Breath is definitely a great way to start. Just tapping in and noticing what the breath is doing and how you're breathing and taking, making it slow down if you're in a stress state does give you a little glimpse into what it feels like to tap into the body. Um, but a lot of times it just means slow down and and ask yourself, let's just say you're going for a snack. The question is, are you really hungry? Are you going for that snack for another reason? Um, and it's I know for me, like when I'm putting meals together and stuff, I oftentimes will be drawn to certain things I have in my refrigerator for, I have the fresh vegetables and stuff like that. So every day is a little something different. It's like, what is my body asking for today? And it's spices and herbs and spices are another great thing. Taking a sniff of them. Are you drawn to the smell of it at that time? Or is it something like, nah, that's not really what I'm feeling? So it's slowing down and really noticing how the body is reacting to certain things that you're encountering. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. So you're becoming aware by
Mhm.
slowing down and observing yourself and your reactions to things.
Yes.
That's what I think I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a great way to sum it up. And we're wired to just keep go, 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 go. And I'm now saying let's slow down and really ask the body what it's needing because we're putting things in our bodies that aren't necessarily for our greatest good at this point. So it's learning to understand that how we um, support the body matters from a longevity standpoint and vitality. Vitality more importantly than the longevity, because you want to get there with lots of energy
And strength.
and strength. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what are you trying to say about us having too many toxins around us, or you're saying that the negative things that people should be aware of?
Mhm. Um, I mean, that is one thing, but even like food, I mean, we're surrounded by what I like to think we're surrounded by a lot of artificial, and
Mm.
artificial does not support us. Our body understands the language that nature provides. So the more natural we keep things, the more our body understands what to do with it. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much. And I'm going to ask Brenda to come up.
Thank you, Cindy.
Mhm.
So, most people don't realize how hidden sugars can consume, that they consume every day affects them. They're doing it continuously. If you wore a CGM, you could actually watch this in real time, how certain foods can spike your blood sugars. And you can actually see uh, how long it takes for the body to recover. The challenge is that many people have experience these spikes without ever knowing that it's happening. That's sad, huh? So today I want to share some common foods that can dramatically raise your blood sugars and your insulin levels. And knowing this can help you to make the right choices that will help you with getting better health. So one of the biggest challenges are drinks. Fruit juice sounds healthy, doesn't it? But when fruit is turned into a juice, the fiber is removed. And fiber helps sugar to slow down this sugar absorption. So without it, the sugar enters into the bloodstream really quickly. This is how you get the spikes. So one glass of juice can contain the sugar of many, many different pieces of that fruit. So it becomes really concentrated. So this is where you get the spikes. The same is true for soda and energy drinks and sports drinks, teas that have sugar in them, fancy coffees, and even smoothies that are loaded with fruit and extra sugar. So another major source is refined carbohydrates and starches. Bread is a good example of it. You know, we are told that bread that has whole wheat in it is okay. But here's the thing: there's very little fiber in it. And guess what? A while ago, I actually checked this out. I thought, is that true? I went to my grocery store and I went to the bread section and I checked every part, every section that had all these different breads. And I looked at the label and I was really surprised to see how little fiber they had and how many carbs they had instead. So it's no wonder that we're spiking our blood sugars without even realizing it because we're told it's healthy. Now, the same applies to cereals. And even cereals that are labeled unsweetened or no sugar added is usually made from grains because most cereals are made from things like rice or corn or wheat or oats. That a good example is oatmeal. We're told it's touted as a healthy breakfast. Yet, if you don't have enough of protein and you don't have enough of fat in it, it gets into the bloodstream very quickly. Another way that we do this is through starchy vegetables that can contribute to high blood sugars. Foods like potatoes and sweet potatoes and parsnips and beetroot, all these are root vegetables. And what nature does is uses they make the sugar and it's stored as starch in these roots. So remember that if you have things like rice and pasta and corn, these are all starches. Even now they're coming up with vegetable pastas. Okay, so remember that this has still a lot of carbohydrates, more than all the other things that they say are good for you. Another one is milk. You wouldn't think of that, right? But milk has a lot of lactose in it. And lactose is converted into glucose and galactose. So 1 cup of milk has 12 grams of this natural sugar. Okay? And the other things are healthy, so-called energy or protein bars. if you check the labels, you will find that most of them have more carbohydrates than they have protein. Now, the important thing I want people to understand is this: when we regularly eat food that rapidly converts into sugar, it keeps your blood sugar and your insulin levels elevated. And this can contribute to insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes and many other chronic diseases. So the good news is that awareness creates choice. When people begin to understand that how food affects blood sugars, then we can change what we eat, how much we eat, and what, how it, and the combination of what we eat. Small daily choices really do make a difference. Thank you.
So can you tell us what you have in the giveaways for this event?
Yeah, my giveaway for the free one is about the misinformation that we have about diabetes. And the second one, I believe, is, I think it is it's either my 5 steps to take control of type 2 diabetes, or it's a discovery session with me.
And I'm sure that they're going to walk away with some great strategies to make changes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. So next up, I want to make sure that Alicia is going to answer lots of our questions.
Thank you, Brenda, for that presentation. It was very, very good. Okay, so here I have a question for you if you're listening or listening to the recording. And my question to you is, how many times have you done lab work or any type of analysis in your body or whatever, and get to the doctor and the doctor tells you everything is fine? There's no problem. Everything is fine. I don't know what you're talking about. Where are all these symptoms coming from? They're in your head. So if I were to I asked this question in a group of women I had in front of me, and 100% of people raise their hand. It's like, why is it that many times when we go for lab tests, they look fine and we think that we're okay, but it's not in our heads. We're simply not feeling ourselves. We're not feeling well. I work with menopausal women who really, really want to change all of these symptoms. And most of the time, it's like they go to the doctor. I'm like, oh, you're fine. Don't worry about it. The hot flashes will go. Oh, your hair losing hair is normal, or being overweight is fine. Don't worry about it. And in reality, it is because we're very complex organisms and we're all different. We're absolutely, all of us are different. We were born genetically different from two different mom and dad. We all have genes. I actually work with women in menopause, premenopause, postmenopause years, in which we can actually look at their genetics, and from their genetics create what we call an epigenetic roadmap. Our cells have trillions and trillions and trillions of genes. So we need to take a little sample of that. We did not pick up these genes. There's 70 genes we work with, but they really shape the way we personally are living our menopausal years. We're finding that a lot of people, believe me, after looking at 350 studies of genetics, is like about a lot of us, we have detoxification problems. In other words, every time there's toxins and they are basically metabolized in the liver, we're not metabolizing them properly. So toxins accumulate inside our bodies. And where are they coming from? From the environment, from air, water, especially food, as Brenda just mentioned, the high amount of, not only the high amount of sugar and carbohydrates, but a lot of pesticides and a lot of particles that are there, microplastics. I can keep going on and on and on about environmental toxins. And that is basically affecting our genetics. So what we do is we work with 70 genes that respond to environment. That's what epigenetics is about, is the response of the genes to an environmental trigger. So we change the environment, our genes start expressing themselves in a more, not fashionable, but in a healthier way, in which when we express them, what happens is like, oh, I'm sleeping better. Oh, the hot flashes are leaving. I don't have hot flashes. I have a lady right now that she just texted me this morning. I'm like, I spent my first night without a hot flash. You cannot imagine how grateful I feel. But as Cindy just mentioned earlier, how much do you actually listen to your body? Are we waiting for a doctor's response or a doctor to tell us exactly what our labs mean? Or are you really, truly, consciously taking care of yourself? Because in reality, if we think about long-term health, in reality, the only person responsible of your health is you. I am responsible of my health. You're responsible of your health. But if we consciously work on how do we change the environment, how our bodies respond to it, and if we take what we mention in our books, Epigenetic Roadmap to Menopause Health, both in English and in Spanish, you can see that we actually have 7 core steps. I want to mention just 4, which are basically, to me, the most important ones, and they have been mentioned here already. The first core step is eat. We are exposed to food at least 3 times a day. And where's the food coming from? What type of food are you eating? As Brenda mentioned, are you eating too many carbohydrates in the day? So eat is the very, very first step, okay? Second one, sleep. How well do you sleep? It's not just the amount of hours, it's not just the quantity, but the quality. Do you go through every single stage of sleep healthy in a way that when you wake up in the morning without an alarm, and you're like, whoa, I had a full night's sleep and I feel amazing to start my day. Then our third core step is movement. We don't need to be at the gym every single day for hours and hours. As Cindy mentioned, moving the body in a more holistic and a more functional way. It's like if you're going to go grocery shopping, park like a block away, so you need to do that walk at least. Or, if you are going to meditate, walk while you meditate. That's another idea. I love walking, and to me, walking is the best. And if I can spare an hour of my day walking, I'm the happiest person in the planet. All my neighborhood knows me because I'm always walking. The fourth core step, we call it calm, and it has to do, of course, with our nervous system. Okay, our nervous system, which is basically how you manage stress. We all manage stress in a different way. I was the type of person that, I would be in the fight or flight stage of my life, like constantly. And when I found a way in which I could calm myself, and yes, through breathing is the most natural way, the way Cindy explained it, is the most natural way of calming our nervous system. And being aware that we do shallow breathing most of the time. How can we learn to do deep breathing? Start doing deep breathing, especially before you go to sleep. So when you go to sleep, you're calm, your nervous system is calmed down, and you wake up with energy. There's more core steps in our books. And yes, I invite you, our books are available on Amazon. I invite you to check them out. There's not only a book, there's also a manual for menopause health. A manual is hands-on, is what you're learning in the book, is put it into practice. There's nothing like finding a book and then put it in the shelf and leaving it there. Put it into practice, because being conscious of your own health will be the one that will give you the answers about your own health and how you are always in control of it. I invite you to not rely on anybody else. Rely on your wisdom, rely on yourself, because women, we were born with wisdom. We just celebrated Mother's Day yesterday in North America. Wow, what an event. How are you living your wisdom as a woman that can take care of your health? To me, that's the last message I want to leave you with.
Well, first of all, I'm excited that you have not only information in English, but you have it in Spanish. So I know that you can reach out to lots and lots of people. And you're very wise to say people are responsible for their own health. Now, one of the questions that we received is, how do I get an appointment with a doctor nowadays? Do you have any suggestions?
I do. Okay, first of all, start looking for a physician or somebody that listens to you, that understands you. I taught for 15 years at a school of doctors that are now naturopathic doctors, my favorite doctors. Look for a functional medicine doctor. Look for somebody that will understand how you're feeling. That's my first advice. I know the medical system worldwide is not going to be there forever. We in Canada, you can wait 6 months to at least 6 months to get an appointment. Can you imagine the amount of work you can do with yourself in those 6 months? So when you go see the doctor, you basically don't even need him or her. So that's the best thing I can tell you. Don't rely on your doctor. Rely on your own wisdom and take care of your own health. I hope that helps.
It certainly does. Now, you did bring up testing. So
Yes.
what kind of tests do you think that?
We do a saliva test to test for DNA. It's a very simple saliva test. We've done it with babies. It's that simple. We send it to a lab and we get results in 10 days. And it's sent worldwide. It's a private lab in Ontario, Canada, that will send the test worldwide. And I'm pretty amazed on the results. Comprehensively, it takes a little while to understand them. That's why we teach people how to understand your genetics, but most importantly, how to put it into practice.
Wonderful. And I think Mary has a question.
You mentioned a functional doctor. What does functional doctor mean?
A lot of I'm finding, and I'm in a group of functional doctors that have worked in hospitals and stuff like that all they do, or they see or they can see patients in 10-15 minutes. That's all the time I can give you. And then it's like, oh, I have a headache, oh, take this drug, that's it. There's a lot of people, I think there is a change in consciousness within doctors, that they are looking into lifestyle more than let me give you this medication. That's what I mean by a functional doctor. There's doctors that are now starting to be functional in a way in which you take your everyday life and that's what you work on before I give you a pill.
Those are very hard to find.
They're hard to find, but they're not impossible to find.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And I think you also are giving a gift. If you want to describe that.
Yeah, if you want to, I'm giving a gift to Menopause. Download it. It's a little excerpt of our book. Our book is more comprehensible. It has more hands-on. The manual is really dear to my heart because I'm the type of person that if I don't implement and if I don't implement, it goes through my head and it leaves. So thank you, Cindy, for this event. I hope women use your wisdom. You're wiser than you think to be healthier.
Wonderful. Thank you. And I'd like to bring up Dr. Leah.
It's Lolly.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
There you are.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this event, Cindy, and I really appreciate it to be part of this. This is so special to me because today is my birthday, and it is very relevant to this topic. And I have to say, Alicia, you and I must have been separated at birth, as you will see what I'm talking about. So let me start with a question. How many of you, either listening to this or here right now, have been told that your fatigue, your weight gain, your brain fog, your mood, and all of that is just kind of part of normal aging? Welcome to the club. That's why they created drawstring pants, someone told one of my clients. What happens after 40, 50 years, menopause, whatever, that's just normal, and the best you can do is really sort of manage it. So today I'm going to challenge that completely. I turned 56 today, so I put it out there, right? So what if those symptoms that you're experiencing are just really signals? They are signals that your body is asking for support, not for suppression. I'm Dr. Lolly, and I love to work with people who are done chasing symptoms and masking symptoms and are ready to really understand what's going on in their body. And what I want to share with you today is this. Any imbalance, especially hormone imbalance, is not random. It is not inevitable. It is not absolutely something you have no control over, and you just kind of have to deal with it. Hormones are simply messengers. And they respond to everything: what you eat, how you sleep, how much you sleep, how well you sleep, how you think, how you move, how you manage stress, your environment, even what you believe. So when hormones become imbalanced, the real question is not what drugs do we need? The real question is, what is my body telling me? So let's talk about why hormones become imbalanced and what happens in the first place. So most women are told, even early on, by the way, this process of preparing for certain phases of our life, I believe, starts not after menopause symptoms or perimenopause. It's really in our 30s, which nobody tells you, unfortunately. But women are told that you're going to go through this phase of life because it's just estrogen, progesterone is declining, and it's just that, right? You have no choice. But that's just a piece of the story. In reality, I see four major drivers. Number one is metabolic dysfunction. So blood sugar instability, like Cindy mentioned, is one of the fastest ways to disrupt hormone balance. So every spike and crash that you experience, it triggers cortisol level, insulin, inflammatory pathways that really interfere with the estrogen and progesterone signaling. Number two is chronic stress. A few people talked about that. It's very underrated. If your body cannot prioritize repair and refuel and reproduction when it's always in survival mode, you have elevated cortisols that will suppress your progesterone levels and then disrupt your thyroid function and lead to wired by tired status. How many of you know that, or known people who say that I am so tired, but I'm wired, I can't sleep, right? Fight or flight. Number three is nutrient depletion. So hormones don't just happen out of nowhere, right? They require specific building blocks such as amino acids, healthy fats, B vitamins, minerals, magnesium, zinc, and so on. Without these building blocks, your body simply cannot produce and reproduce and regulate hormones efficiently. And number four is toxin and detox burden. So if your liver and your gut are not efficiently clearing waste and hormones, especially estrogen, you can end up with what we call estrogen dominance while your estrogen levels are actually technically declining. Does that make sense? So when we look at hormone imbalance through this lens, we move from confusion to clarity and control. Now here's what gets really, really empowering. Because your body is not broken, it is adaptive, and it's just talking. And this is where epigenetics comes in. Alicia is going to love this. Epigenetics teaches us that our genes are not the whole story. I'm a geneticist by training, by the way. And I love genetics, but those are instructions. So those genes can be turned on and off, up and down, based on, again, environment, behaviors, food, and a lot of things. So that means what you eat, how you manage and cope stress, how you sleep, how much you sleep, how you think, and how you move your body, all of these things, what you're exposed to, influence your hormone function at a very cellular level. So let me give you an example. Two women can have same genetic predisposition to insulin resistance. One of them ate very, very healthy, prioritized healthy proteins, prioritized good fats and fiber, micronutrients, moved her body regularly, practiced mindfulness, all of that. And then the other, on the other hand, ate very poorly, highly processed food, loaded with sugar and salt, sleep hardly ever, if at all, very, very poorly, and live in a constant fight or flight mode, chronic stress. This is not a made up story. This is true examples of my clients. Very, very same genes, very different outcomes. That is the power of epigenetics. And it doesn't stop there. We also have neuroplasticity, which is our brain's ability to rewire itself, kind of making new pathways. This can happen at any age, by the way. No matter how old or young we are, we can use the power of neuroplasticity. Why does this matter with hormones? Well, because your brain is the command center for your endocrine system. And your hypothalamus and your pituitary glands regulate hormone production and regulation, so they are directly influenced by the experience and the perception of stress in your body. So if your brain is constantly interpreting your environment as dangerous, in a fight or flight, unsafe, overwhelming, out of control, your hormone signals will reflect that directly. But when you begin to retrain your nervous system through various different modalities and refuel your brain properly through healthy foods, natural foods, through breath work, through mindful eating, mindfulness in life in general, and intentional thinking patterns, you can shift those signals. You can move from survival mode to thriving and to being in control and regulation. And when that happens, your body is able to naturally stabilize your hormones because your body has the ability to heal and do that. So now we have four powerful levers: nutrition, lifestyle, epigenetics, and neuroplasticity. And it's not about a quick fix. It's never about a quick fix. It's a lifelong commitment, which is why I said women need to start thinking about every decade of life, especially menopause, in their 30s. It is about precision. It is about really understanding that no two women and the hormone imbalances are the same. No two individuals are the same. And this is when conventional approaches fall short. You're given a label. You're in perimenopause, you're in premenopause, you're in menopause, you're in postmenopause. Whatever label you get, then comes with it and intervention. Your body has a story. Your lab work, your history, your symptoms, your lifestyle, all give us clues. And if we listen to those clues, if you investigate them, we can create a targeted, personalized plan that works with your body, not against it. This is my framework I call Precision Empowerment Pathway, or PEP. It's about identifying the unique root causes and then focusing on what is right for your body with food and herbal medicine and supplementation, lifestyle things as your medicine, comprehensive medicine, to help your body take control and restore balance, not by forcing it, but by supporting it. This also addresses my biggest myth I want to basically break through here. Menopause is not a decline. It's not a horrible time of your life you just have to deal with. It is not the beginning of end of vitality. Absolutely not. I strongly disagree with that. It is a transition, not a deterioration. Yes, hormones are shifting, but it's part of beautiful life. Embrace those changes rather than bracing yourself against them. But this can be powerful calibration phase, the time when you become more intentional about your health, become more attuned with your body, and more selective about what and who you allow into your life. I work with women in their 50s, 60s, 70s that feel so much better and energized and controlled than they did in their 30s, not because they're lucky, because they took control So I want
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that you're empowering women to take charge of their own life. That is absolutely fantastic. And now I would like to ask Paige to come up and we'll make sure.
Okay. Hi, Cindy.
Hi. I know you're going to impart wonderful things. Thank you.
Yes, and I have to say that my personal reason for joining this event is that today is 10 years since my pulmonary embolism and anoxic brain injury. And that is blood clots that got into my lungs and cut off the oxygen to my brain. And I can, I was 32 when it all happened. And so I can echo what everyone else says about the importance of lifestyle and nutrition for better health in general, and for me, brain injury recovery. And with daily oral anticoagulation, also there's a point in that I've heard that it said that, oh, those weren't developed for anyone younger than menopause age, and certainly with women, although I found relief from bioidentical progesterone that I've just started taking since last December. And so also I've been navigating, well, what do I need to do for my nutrition, since it was really a case of dialing that in and really getting through the anxiety caused by, well, it was, what I learned is that I can't medicate my way out of pharmaceutical microbiome dysfunction. So I had been taking anti-anxiety medications and combo hormonal birth control for the better part of 12 years before it all happened. And that just really set things up to cascade in a bad way. And what put it all into remission was 8 months of twice weekly neurofeedback in my first year post-injury. And that set me up for better nutrition to take over from there. And I've since found a lot of other additional resources that are good for me, including therapeutic horseback riding. That was what I started first out of the rehab center. And also that is where I went out of standard PT. And standard therapy is great for initial stability. And then the other options that I found helped me thrive from there. Like also, in addition to therapeutic horseback riding and neurofeedback, functional neurology. And that goes beyond standard neurology in the way that there are tests that actually look at balance and eye movement and physiological integration with the brain. And also what I'm going to be doing more of this month is neuromovement sessions, and that also uses movement and brain integration and general repatterning, and also myofascial work and chiropractic adjustments. So all kinds of body work going on that have helped me a lot.
So you mentioned 3 different modalities. Could you repeat what those were and maybe um, e- explain a definition for each?
There's nutritional psychiatry, and that is psychiatry that doesn't just prescribe medication, but takes a deeper look into the functional nutrition tests, and like what others have said so far about the proper nutrient balance, because a lot of our neurotransmitters are produced in the gut. So optimal gut function is critical for emotional well-being. And also therapeutic horseback riding. Since I started college as an equestrian major, that was a good fit for me. And I would do things like at my first therapy barn, I rode a horse in a bareback pad and had people walking alongside the horse and someone leading the horse. And I would, while the horse was walking, swing my legs over to one side or the other and facing the back. Or I would hold a ball in my hands and move my arms around with it, and even a thing where I would point my arms in the direction that I wanted the horse to go, and a little bit of steering without reins, and also to integrate arm swing movement with the movement of my legs. My instructor walked behind the horse with a PVC pole in each hand, and I held the other hand of the poles, and so that got the arm swing going along with the horse moving.
So you were actually not just connecting the brain with the outside environment of sitting on a horse, but you were actually doing movements on horseback. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah.
And is that called a particular type of therapy?
Well, it's also based around what neuro movement and myofascial work do in doing a particular kind of movement and going for a specific brain response, and also neurofeedback and photobiomodulation. That's red light therapy, which is best for use initially short term, and neurofeedback is better for long term, and that involves a cap with electrodes on the head and on the scalp. And in my case, I watched movies, and the electrodes were connected to a TV, and the picture would flicker or become more clear when my brain responded well to the protocols that were set. And that is my personal experience knowledge of it. I don't know all the technical details.
So it seems to me you not only have an incredibly inspiring story, but you're really using your experience to help other people with the challenge that you had. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. What I would say to others is that I can get into the research of what's available to them based on where they live. And I'm also a member of some online brain injury support groups locally. And there's one that meets on every other Friday called the Seminole Spirit Group. And with that group, we have the first hour. It starts at 11 a.m. Central, and we do short individual speeches based on what's going on for us and a little bit of our story. And then in the second hour, we have speech language pathologists on to lead us in brain games and things like goal setting.
So speech has something to do with how your brain is functioning and the aftermath of any kind of blood clots or any brain injuries.
Yeah, I myself had to relearn how to read since the oxygen deprivation affected that part of my brain, although it took me about 6 to 8 months to really be able to read small print again, although I get tired easily with when reading large blocks of text, but I can read short paragraphs. And if there is a book, for instance, that has chapters of short sections and a lot of pictures, that's easier for me to read and process. And so I can't drive anymore since my vision can't quite keep up with all the things going on at once, and I have trouble reading scrolling text.
But it seems to me that you have, gone through a process of healing. So do you feel that you're still healing?
Yeah, it is an ongoing process. And I have prismatic lenses in my glasses now. And I've been through a few prescription adjustments with that since the first one was too strong and needed to come down a bit. And I'm on probably my fifth pair of glasses in the last 10 years.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And I am going to ask Terry to come up and join us.
Thank you, Cindy. Glad to be here. So, the title of my talk is Happy Gut, Happy Women, Your Four Keys to Feeling Your Best. So, many women today are really feeling tired, bloated, anxious, irritable, foggy, even depressed. So, what's the cause of this, right? Well, many people don't realize it, but your gut, the health of your gut, has a lot to do with how not only you feel, but also how you think and how you behave. So it affects your energy level, your mood, your amount of inflammation you have in your body, your immune system function, and even your ability to experience joy. So, after working as a social worker for over 25 years in a very high stress environment, I discovered that I had an underactive thyroid and 28 food sensitivities. And when I delved into the research, I learned about the gut brain connection. And I really wanted to learn because I did not want to go on medication. So when I looked into the research, I understood then that the root cause of my underactive thyroid, as well as my food sensitivities, was this leaky gut, and that I needed to heal my gut and then to improve my overall well-being. So today, I want to show you the 4 key things that you can do starting today that are very simple. And all the research I've done, I mean, if we focus in on these 4 things, you can really help yourself and your gut. So, the first one, as many of you have already said, is nourishment, right? So, I think of an easy way to remember this is to nourish to flourish, and starting with proper hydration. So many people do drink water, but they're not typically drinking enough. So I tell people or encourage them to take half of your body weight in pounds and convert that to the number of ounces that you need in liquids every day. And to add some electrolytes, for example, these mineral drops, trace mineral drops can be used, and just a pinch of sea salt. Okay. So that is so critical because those 2 things actually help get the water into the cells to actually hydrate your body sufficiently. So that's really key, hydration. And then, secondly, is to eat real whole food. Now, real whole food just means simply your meats, your nuts, your seeds, your vegetables, your fruits, and your healthy fats. So pretty easy, right? But this means we eliminate the refined carbs and sugars so we don't have the metabolic effects of that because all those refined carbs and sugars and ultra processed foods and highly processed seed oils are going to be extremely inflammatory and cause a great deal of stress on the body. And then supplementing wisely. So when you think about supplements, you got to be careful because many supplements are not third-party tested, and that's what you want to look for. And things like is extremely important are things like vitamin D3 with K7, which is a variation of K2. And your fish oil supplements can be very helpful, or having maybe some, sardines, for example. And magnesium is huge because mostly people are not getting enough magnesium in their diet. And then potassium is a huge one too. Super important for heart function. Okay. So that's one on nourishment. So I'd like to invite you to think about those things that I just talked about. What's most important for you to start? Is it hydration? Is it eating real whole food? Or is it supplementing wisely with some targeted supplements? And then secondly, I like you to think about movement. Okay. So I have a little saying, move to groove, right? Has anybody ever watched that movie, Madagascar, and they say, I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. Okay, so that tells me, it reminds me I got to keep moving my body because movement is just like great prevention for dementia, so good for cognitive health. And you really want to focus on movement for as your just anti-aging remedy, really. So it keeps us functional, right? So people who stop moving it, they lose it, right? So think about moving your body daily for at least 30 minutes to get that heart rate up, as well as doing 3 times a week of some type of strength training. Now, that can be as easy as getting a kettlebell. It can be as easy as doing some squats, maybe some wall sits, some planks, some sit-ups. You do not have to go to the gym to focus in on these pillars. So, easiest way, buy yourself a pair of sneakers and start a plan. So, what is it for you? What kind of movement do you enjoy doing? So, if you enjoy dancing, or maybe enjoy vacuuming or doing some household chores, that's all movement. So, I encourage folks to, if you're going to have your meal, to do 10 minutes of exercise right away to bring that blood sugar out of the blood and into the muscle tissues. Okay? And then the third thing I like to focus in on is restoration. So that includes sleep and stress management. So I call this restore to be more. And we cannot heal ourselves when we're in survival mode, which means we need to focus just as much of our attention on ensuring that we get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Some people brag they only get 4 to 5 every night and they can function just fine. In that event, they're likely going to have some issues with dementia. Okay? Sleep is critical for the brain. The number one thing that you can do is to set a bedtime, stick to it every single night, and become a super sleeper. Okay. And then the other part, stress management. So, what are you doing to maintain your joy in your day? So, are you focused in on doing some deep breathing, taking a nap, talking to a friend, petting your, pet, if you have a cat or a dog or whatever? That can be getting into nature, can also be very helpful. So think about stress management. And then the fourth thing that I invite you to do is think about your connection. So, connection is just as essential as everything else. People in Sardinia, one of the blue zones, the reason why they live to be in their hundreds is because they're very connected to their community. So, connection is nourishment too. So, connection to yourself, connection to other people, connection to nature, connection to your higher purpose, and maybe your higher power as well. So, those are the areas. Now, think of the connection. What area of connection would be most helpful for you to focus in on?
Terry, I love your 4 very impactful. People say, oh my goodness, that's just too easy. But
It
really
really,
think about it.
it really is. I mean, we do so much research on all these things, and this is the 4 big ones. If you just focus on those 4, you're gonna do yourself major, major good in your health.
Thank you so much. And now we're going to ask Jackie to come up.
Thank you.
Hello? Can you hear me okay?
And you sound great.
Gosh, there's my microphone's just conked out, so
I can hear you well. So
okay, that's
I
fine.
know that you help people in midlife. So why do so many people in midlife feel that their bodies started suddenly to stop responding even when they're exercising and eating well?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest things that I've seen is actually down to stress. So, I mean, I pretty much built my program for my own issues of gaining 15 kilos and a racing heart rate. And so I think what happens is with hormone imbalance, probably from 40s, people start to see decreased mobility. They find it harder to be able to pick up their shopping or put their luggage in their overhead locker. And so therefore it just stops working. So generally it does start with stress, which then affects the structure of the body. So just hearing what Terry said about exercise, I think whenever starting a program or any exercise, I would really be cautious, especially if you've got underlying issues. So also always make sure you get a clearance from a doctor before you do any form of prescription, what we call exercise prescription. But yeah, I think things do start to change, and it's really sort of understanding what might be going on and then education through that.
Fantastic. So I wondered um, when you are working with your inner core. So, what is exactly an inner core, and why is it so important for posture, strength, mobility, and confidence as we age?
Okay, so I talk about an analogy of a car or a building. Okay, so you've got a frame of a building or a chassis of a car, and the chassis is basically like a non-surgical corset. So you've got TVA runs along the bikini line, uh, diaphragm and pelvic floor. So a lot of people, when they've had children post-pregnancy, generally secondary to childbirth or pain, their core muscles will switch off from the brain down, and then you combine that with scar tissue. If somebody's had a hysterectomy or they've had cancer, even if they've had breast cancer, they've had a mastectomy, a full mastectomy, that can actually affect the inner core. So there's lots of different things, and then people end up having an issue where they feel like they're going to pee themselves. That's a sign that the inner core is not working. But basically, it's the TVA, the diaphragm, the pelvic floor, and back stabilizer. So, like just from the belly button round the back, round to the belly button, like a cylindrical core. That is what ends up. That's what stops. It disengages basically. Um, but generally, it's secondary to childbirth or pain, or if somebody's not breathing correctly, or they've got a structural problem, they've got forward head posture. So, they've got a dowager's hump on the back of their neck. There's so many different variables. And really, it's about looking at that. And that's when it comes to the exercise prescription, is you've got to be quite careful because you can do more damage than good.
So, how does stress? I know we're all feeling like stress and years of pushing through and exhaustion. How does that cause the inner core to disengage?
Well, it might have already disengaged. And I mean, I've tested hundreds of women. And I mean, I've been doing this for what, 15 years now. I've tested hundreds of people in person and online, and have successfully managed to re-engage their core for them. So I think the thing is, if you look at stress, okay, so stress affects your nervous system, whether somebody's fight or flight or rest and digest, and then therefore it then affects the gut and the ability for the liver to filter. So therefore, because the gut and the core are on the same neurological loop or switchboard, it then affects the outer, so the inner core. Then they end up with a foot, ankle, knee. Sciatica is quite a common one. Shoulder shifts, rotator cuff, like shoulder, common injuries. And then they might end up with trigger points in their neck. So it's just that generally stress affects everything. And if you look at the hormones, obviously all the active hormones convert in the gut. So therefore, if that's not working, the core's not working. And then you add into that if somebody's got food sensitivities that have developed from stress, and then it's just. And then I know Alicia talks about epigenetics, and then the epigenetics, and it's just one thing after another.
you said something that maybe people don't know about, and that's trigger points. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, I mean, trigger points is so if you look at myofascial therapy or fascia, so the glad wrap of your body, okay? What can happen is that you have trigger points. That's why foam rollering, people foam roller their muscles. Um, so they end up with these little niggling pains. I mean, because I have had 3 C-sections, I can have trigger points or little stabbing pains in that area. And in fact, when I've retrained, when I work my core quite hard, okay, and I'm taking it higher up, the strength of it ends up that I get triggers. And I've had people that I've trained who have had hysterectomies, and they've said, I feel like I'm back to when I had the operation, like I've got all of this pain. And I've said, don't worry about it. The muscles are the brain is trying to reconnect to the muscle. So we're building back that pathway when we're doing that. So it's just a natural process. But once it's switched on, you're not going to be able to switch it off. So you'll be able to, jump up and down with your kids, even do skipping and other activities. So, and I do feel that the inner core does really help with your nervous system, and it calms it down. The diaphragmatic breathing calms the nervous system down. It's a multi-system thing, but it's about working smarter, not harder.
So, why are issues like back pain, incontinence, poor posture, stubborn belly fat often linked to a weak or disconnected inner core?
Obviously, belly fat can be contributed to cortisol, so you can gain belly fat around your stomach. And obviously, if the core's not working because it's on that same neurological loop, if that's not functioning correctly, then obviously that's going to affect that. Back problems, and it depends on whether what they've done historically. So if you look at posturally, somebody may have like a sway. Okay, I mean, I do a postural analysis and I can see what sort of posture they have and whether they have forward head posture, because it's really about assessing, not guessing. Okay, or if they've got a flat back or if they've got slight curve in their spine, you've got to sort of look at that, which then could be creating the back issue. But if they've got stress and their gut's not working correctly, a byproduct of that will be if they've got back problems, if they've actually got one second toe bigger than the first toe, which is Morton's toe, or royal toe, if they've actually got a structural problem there, that's going to affect where their hips sit. If their pelvis is tilted forward or backwards, obviously backwards if they've got a sway posture. So they're all different factors. And incontinence comes from if they haven't got a strong core. And look, my mother is 88, and I actually have helped her re-engage her core, and she's not having to go to the toilet as much. So I've actually successfully done that recently when I was in the UK. So it can be done. You can retrain your body so that then you just reconnect the muscles. And the idea of it is if you create that tone, you're going to be able to do lots of different things. You're going to have the stability, the mobility. So when you do the vacuuming or when you're getting down on the beach or up on the beach, you're going to be able to have that mobility, but it starts from that strong frame out. And then because all the inner core controls the extremities, not the other way around. So there's no point in doing a whole load of bicep curls if you've got a weak core. So it's not about doing sit-ups, press-ups, all of that. It's really just about starting small and then understanding how to retrain the inner core. And then everything else in combination with gut health, supplementation, all of those things are actually going to work better because your body works as a machine, as a unit.
Yeah, so every system is affected by every other system. And you're
That's
saying
right.
that we work from the inner core out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate your wisdom. And I know that lots of people are going to be so excited with your gifts. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Maricel.
Thank you, Cindy. Hi, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. My name is Maricel Rocha. This accent is from Argentina. I help people extend their health span, which is the time alive in optimal health. So busy professionals come to me because they feel tired and afraid that decline has already started. One of the ways that I help my clients to rejuvenate and extend their health span is through optimizing metabolic health. And today we heard about so many experts talking about it. We couldn't be more aligned. We talk about genetics, we heard about epigenetics, we heard about microbiome, OMG. So I'm going to share my screen and I will go through very quick, I promise, very short presentation because the topic of today was born recently when I had my trip to visit my family in Argentina and then Brazil. And I noticed that there was a trend, and people, every time I would share what I would do or that I was a health coach, people would say, what do you think about GLPs? Why do you think about Ozempic? Should I do Monjaro? And all these medications that help people lose weight. It's crazy in South America and everywhere. Why? Because people think that it's a shortcut and it's a magic pill. In this case, it's a magic pill or a magic injection that help people lose weight. So that's why my topic of today is to bring a little more clarity on what are these medications and who are they for and what can we do if we are really considering. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully everybody can see them now. Yes, okay. So GLP-1s, that's a generic name, can be powerful tools if we use them properly. My goal today is to help people understand really what's the reason why we should be using it. Okay, so GLP stands for glucagon. Yeah, it goes fast. Glucagon-like peptide 1, and GAP stands for glucose-dependent insulin-tropic polypeptide. So these two things are really natural things happening in our body already. We already produce them, but studies have shown that when we get more of these substances, our body feels that we are already full. So that's essentially why people lose weight while on this medication, because the brain, once these substances are being released, our brain thinks, okay, I'm not hungry anymore. So that's why it's very effective. It's a natural hormone everybody is producing right now, and it's totally natural. Now, the medical application it was originally developed for people with diabetes or dealing with metabolic issues, but these medications were not intended for people trying to lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds or perfectly healthy individuals who are just trying to lose weight faster, right? This is not for them. Ideal candidates are dealing with metabolic distress, type 2 diabetes, cardiometabolic risks, and these are prescribed. I mean, you need a prescription from a doctor to get them. Now, what do GLP-1s? Some people may be listening to this presentation and they may be still using them or considering, or maybe they're thinking, okay, I got my results. Now what? I want to stop using them. So there's a whole different approach on first how we start using them while we're using this medication and how we wean them off. How do we stop using them? Because one of the things that happen when people stop using this medication is that, of course, they regain the weight that they lost. And unfortunately, the quality of weight is most of the time fat tissue. So we ended up going into the yo-yo dieting cycle. And at the end, we lost more muscles than we wanted. So that's why it's something that we have to take extra care when we decide to go through them. So what do? Well, first, they reduce hunger, increase satiety, slow digestion. That's why people may feel like they have acid reflux, or they have like nausea symptoms. But overall, it's a powerful metabolic tool that improves blood sugar regulation. Common side effects, as I said, nausea, vomiting, constipation, abdominal discomfort. So the takeaway is planning for this and learning and gain clarity around how to use them if we decide to go through this route. Now, if we decide to try natural solutions, and that's why I wanted to bring this here, aligning with the title of this summit, if we want to try first with lifestyle interventions before we use as medicine, then research has shown that whole plant food and fiber are amazing tools to increase GLP-1s in a natural way. So eating more greens, especially the leafy greens that contain thylakoids, then that's a great way to increase natural production of GLP-1s. So greens, legumes, dark leafy greens. The other thing is vinegar. So apple cider vinegar is super cool because it's a basically direct way that we are getting acetate, which is a postbiotic compound that is one of the main reasons we release GLP-1s is because our bacteria in our colon produce this short chain fatty acid in our gut, and that is one of the main ways that we can promote the release of this. And how do we do this? Making our bacteria happy. So here, one more time, it's so important to keep and optimize our microbiome. And then the other way with food is using spices. So like turmeric or cinnamon or cayenne pepper, they all contribute in releasing natural GLP-1. So I develop a framework to work with my clients before they start GLPs, during if they are already using them, and then how to navigate lifestyle after the use of these medications. So here's my invitation for everybody who would like to learn more and get results that last. I put together a masterclass. It's free for everybody interested in learning more. It's called Navigating GLP-1s with Clarity, what to do or what to know before, during, and after using them. It's going to be Saturday, May 30th, 10 a.m. PST, and I'm going to leave here the registration code that you can use your phone and get your spot. And please feel free to invite people that you know may benefit from this masterclass, bring questions, and let me know if you have any questions as well.
Well, there's a couple of questions in the chat. First of all, how can natural GLP-1 production be optimized?
Yes, so there are three ways. What you eat, think about fiber, plant. We have to feed those little creatures that will be producing those postbiotic substances that are at the end producing GLPs. So that's number one. Number two, how you eat. The speed of chewing is also correlated with the release of GLP-1s. So the slower we eat, the better chance we will have to produce natural GLP-1s. And number three is how much we move. And we were hearing from other experts today, movement is essential.
Okay, and we have another one. How does that medication affect visceral fat?
Yeah, that's one of the consequences that it's proven that it helps with reducing visceral fat, which is the type of fat that is more dangerous in terms of metabolic health. And it's the one that is really hard to lose. So these medications really help with that. So for people with metabolic distress or with insulin resistant or already with diabetes type 2, this is essential. This is a good tool that help people reduce visceral fat.
Okay, and what are the biggest mistakes people make when approaching these medications?
The biggest mistake is considering this as a magic pill, a shortcut, or a fast way to lose weight that will help me look better in my upcoming vacation trip. Why it's a mistake? Because if you think that way, and I know people who uses them as that way, thinking in short term, they're gonna pay with their metabolic health in long term. So the price people pay when they think short term is gonna be really high. It's not gonna be worth it. So that's why it's important to bring awareness and clarity around the use of this type of medications.
So, what I understand, and maybe I'm incorrect about this, but I thought that it was suppressing our appetite. So, as long as you're on it, right, it will suppress your appetite. When you go off of it, then your appetite is not suppressed anymore.
That's why
And you
you
go
need a
back to
plan.
thinking about food.
Exactly. That's why you need a plan. Because if you were eating for the wrong reasons, if you had emotional eating before GLP-1s, guess what? Once they're done, you're going to go back to the same old bad habits, right? That's why it's important to learn. Use them as training, wheels. Like when you start riding a bike, use this time to educate and train your system, your biology, to eat better, to sleep better, to move better, to think better. So at the end, when you are done with the journey with this medication, you are already prepared, trained, and your body will flow and you won't have those negative side effects.
Okay, so I got out of this whole day that we have to take responsibility for our decisions. So I know when I don't get enough sleep at night, that's not necessarily good for me. And I need to continue to make changes to make that happen. So I think at this point, it's really important to answer any other questions that people have about today. But I know that all of us have different gifts. And I'd like to kind of go around the room and say um, from everyone what their gifts are and put them in the chat. And I know a masterclass on the 30th is fantastic, but I think that you also had something else that you were giving away for today.
Yes, I'm giving away a guide. It's a simple guide of the 10 most common mistakes that people want to avoid in relationship with the use of this medication. So I'm gonna put both links in the chat, the masterclass and the free guide.
Fantastic. And Paige, do you think you could come off and share with people?
What I have in the giveaway is the link to my YouTube channel of all the integrated medicine and brain injury recovery videos, and also a link for integrated medicine providers and also those with brain injury recovery expertise to sign up to be a guest.
Wow, that's amazing. And also, don't you have a list of some of the horse therapy places that you um, have worked with?
I have the two that I've ridden at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get a Substack account up and running, and I will be posting all of my written content there and links to the videos.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So we'll make sure that we get that out once we hear about that. And Terry.
Sure, I have a assessment, a gut health assessment that people can go onto my website and they can ask me for that. They can also schedule a complimentary health consultation with me if they would like to get a jump start into 3 things that they can start doing, and there is no cost at all to that.
And Mary, I think that we would like to find out what pearls of wisdom you have for us on this wonderful Women's Health Day.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy, for putting this together and for everyone who's spoken today. It's been very interesting. My shtick is cooking. we need to eat healthy, and to be able to do that on a daily basis, we have to enjoy our time in the kitchen. So I encourage people to get organized and to figure out ways to make cooking more interesting. And also, I encourage people to grow their own food, to find ways to grow whatever they're eating. An easy way to start is to get a pot of herbs. You could get a pot of chives or thyme are very easy, and basil. So that's one way of starting to grow your own food. And if you grow flowers, you can certainly throw some Swiss chard in there. Swiss chard is like bright yellow and bright reds. It's just gorgeous, and it would be a nice addition to a flower garden. And also a filler would be the kale. If you use kale, you can grow that with your flowers. And pick the leaves when they're small. When you see the kale and the chard in the store, they're like this big, and that makes them really tough. And that's when they tell you to rub oil into the leaves. But I pick the leaves when they're about 6 inches tall, long, and they're much more tender. You can rip out the core and just chop up the leaves and throw it into salads and stir fries, lots of things that you can cook with. Another easy dish that I like is cooking fish in parchment paper. So you take a sheet of parchment paper, put some greens on the bottom, like those kale leaves, the chard, maybe some spinach, put the piece of fish on top, a few herbs and a spritz of lemon, then roll up the ends and tuck down the other ends so that you have a little packet. That goes on a baking sheet in the oven for maybe 20 minutes, and you open it up, and the steam comes out, and it just smells marvelous. And just take a big whiff of that beautiful smells and just enjoy it. And as was said earlier, chew your food and enjoy it, taste it, and it's just marvelous. So I encourage people to explore in cooking, find different ways to prepare your food, and the different flavors. Someone mentioned spices earlier. There are different ways of combining spices. You can make your own rubs. The rubs that you buy in the store, it's just a little portion of it, and they're quite expensive. But if you go to the bulk store and buy your individual spices, you can easily put those together. And then when you're cooking, you just sprinkle some marvelous flavor on top. And just explore cooking. Whether you're growing your food or going to the farm market or going to the grocery store, just take your time in the vegetable section. And if you find something new each week, you can try something different vegetable, like a jicama. Jicama is spelled Jicama, I think, but it starts with a J. It says jicama. And you take the peel off. You can grate it into your salad. You can cook with it. It's a very versatile vegetable that's not popular known. And hopefully at the farm market, you can find different varieties of vegetables like cucumbers and radishes. When my husband and I sold at farm markets, we had 7 kinds of radishes, and they were all ready at the same time. So I made bouquets with them, and we sold bouquets of radishes. And also peppers. You could get different colored peppers. There's the red and yellow and green, but there's also an orangey one with stripes. They're just so much fun. And if you're not finding them and you're able to grow, you can get the seed catalogs. We like Johnny's and Bessie's, and in Canada we have one called William Dam. And there's like 10 pages of tomatoes. Tomatoes are not just a red thing like this, or a cherry tomato. You can get so many. And there's one called pineapple, and it's incredible. It's kind of yellow with the red stripes, and you cut it in half and it just drips with liquid because it's so juicy and wonderful inside. So wake up your salad with a variety of radishes and peppers and tomatoes and just enjoy the vegetables. And also we've talked about movement, and when you're out gardening or cooking, you're bending and stretching and lifting, and it's very good for your health. Plus, if you're gardening, you're outside in the sunshine. And of course, we can't forget the edible flowers, right, Cindy? The, the calendulas, nasturtiums. There she goes. Any of the flowers that from the herbs like chive flowers, basil flowers, they can be tossed on your salad as well. And don't forget to take a smell and see how beautiful they are, and then taste and listen to the crunch. So enjoy your vegetables, and we'll see you another time.
So I know that you teach people, and you suggest that they bring their children in
Of course.
as part of it. But you also, I think, move in the kitchen because you listen to something, right?
Oh, yes. The music. The music. There's cooking music, cleaning music, and eating music. So, eating, we've talked about being calm and relaxed while you're eating. So, you have, I shouldn't use my middle finger. We want to have quiet, relaxing music. We use the old blues because it's a nice jazz music. And cleanup, you need a bit of movement. So that would be like Bruno Mars and Tina Turner. And then cooking music is similar to cleanup, but it could be, if you had a busy day, you might want something a little more relaxing. Yeah. And yes, include the kids. Go borrow some kids if you don't have kids and get them cooking as well. Mhm.
And what else do you suggest to make cooking not as long a thing? Because I know when people get home from work, they're pretty tired, right? So
Yes.
how do you suggest people prepare food that way?
There's a few different things. If people work from home, when you take a break during the day, you could go and chop up some vegetables, put them in the fridge, and at the end of the day, just take them all out of the fridge, and then your stir fry or your salad is ready to toss together. If you've been away all day, um, the batch cooking is gotten more popular, and you can make a crock pot or of food when you are home and then have a heat and serve meal later in the week. Or another thing we've figured out is what we call an easy hard vegetable salad, where you throw together, it's kind of like a coleslaw, but it has all the other hard vegetables like carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, onions, and cut them all up, have it in your fridge, and then when it's time to make dinner, you just get out this vegetable salad, and that's a really easy start. You just need to add some protein and a starch if you want. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all your wisdom in cooking and gardening. And you know that I absolutely believe in both of those things for health.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So I'm actually going to ask Alicia to share with her because I'm not sure that she put this in the chat. And I know you were also sharing something, Mary, on this event. If you could enlighten us.
I made an excerpt of our book of the menopause health about HRT. I did not talk about that today, but hormone replacement therapy is a big topic among women with menopause. So I will put my gift in the chat. It's basically because through, if we understand our DNA and we understand how our genes work, HRT is for some women, but not for others. So that's a really an excerpt from our book, but you can get way more details within our book, Epigenetic Roadmap to Menopause Health, on Amazon. I will write the name on the chat as well. Thank you.
Fantastic. The more information that we have in the chat, the more we can easily share what all of you are working on. And I know Mary is in an event coming up. If you want to share that also, I would appreciate that, or anything that you are, giving away. When the Natural Health Collaborative has events, we always like to have a live section of it so that we can make sure that people don't only go to AI or Dr. Google. So I would like to share some information that I recently tested myself, but really was stimulated to test because of a Harvard study. So in this study, they basically asked all the various AIs what they were having certain symptoms. They started with heart symptoms, then they had intestinal situations. But if someone had been searching about food, then AI would say, oh, you can handle this heart difficulty with changing your diet. And if someone was also searching about food and they were having leg difficulty, they would get the same answer. So I'm not saying that AI is always following us around, but this does seem to be a little bit suspect because I did this for a couple weeks using different AI, even Perplexity and Claude did the same thing. So, of course, Chat and Gemini, Grok, right? And which ones that you use. So we have to understand that in asking Dr. Google or in asking our AI how to help us, it doesn't necessarily understand our unique situation. It doesn't understand really anything about us except what we search for. And what I would suggest, wouldn't you rather talk to people? Because that's how we always did it. And I know I eat flowers on a daily basis simply because I tasted my first flower when I was 2 years old. And I've been eating them ever since. And I start out the day with the dawn and a flower. And I know that changes my mood. So I want to ask if anyone else has any questions. Make sure that you answer them. And I'd also like to ask Helen to share. She shared some things in the chat about some of the wonderful work that she's doing.
Thank you. I'm still saving all the nuggets that you guys dropped into the chat in ways that have the live links. So I just wanted to thank Paige for her contributions to the Helpwikipedia project. We're all diverse volunteers. I'm the only retired nurse that I certified in the whole way to help families in crisis, ICU, EMS. Then I went home health because there's no place like home to understand how people apply what they know and if they are raising gardens and how they communicate. And then that's part of my joke because I am a health edutainer. Today I'm part of a dismantling crew. We have 2 days to salvage out a house that was built in the 1800s. Anyway, I love applying everything you guys talked about, but it's better with support. So within this fun fractal, I like making art. This is the great discovery where I have, this is what I call the International Spaces Station. So we all get to participate from our own spaces, our phones, our homes, where we have our resources and we don't have to cart them all around. And it's as lean and green as we can be. I mean, there's real energy costs to having these big data centers and everything. But let me pop out of the way and show you the great discovery, home of the global green biz woman. Woman is an acronym for wise, wealthy, wellness oriented mutual aid network. And that explains why I dropped my slide pack into the chat for you all in appreciation.
That
So
was wonderful. Thank you so much. And
yeah,
do put that in the chat
I did.
because we
Thank
are
you.
going to create all these resources from today. Make sure that it has more distribution.
And Cindy, you know, you have the Natural Health Cooperative, so the Live Well Health and Wellness Cooperative, you and I must connect. I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. You all have the rights to text me with your pictures or something, you know, in reference because I get so many scamming texts. So I delete everything that isn't properly labeled. So thank you so much.
Okay. Well, that's wonderful. And I know one of the questions that was asked, because I think she's shy and she didn't want to come on, was I just am so tired all the time. What can I do? So I'd like to end up our time together with everyone answering that question. So I'd like you to put up your hand if you're ready, and then I'll let you come on. All right, Paige, go for it.
A lot of advice in that regard is get your iron and B12 levels checked. There might be supplementation that could be beneficial.
Great. And I think Terry is next.
Sure. Assess yourself in the 4 pillars of health that I just mentioned to you earlier. So nourishment, where are you at with your hydration? Huge, that's huge for being tired if you're getting tired, as well as are you eating real whole foods and paying attention to how those real whole foods affect you and be clear on what a real whole food is. And then also a lot of people, again, are really not supplementing well. And magnesium, we go through that so much when we're under stress. We need a lot of magnesium, as well as the vitamin D3, and that those, you know, with the MK7, a form of K2. So those kind of things. Potassium, are you getting your electrolytes? Really, that can be huge for helping to boost your energy. And then, of course, movement. Are you moving? Are you getting enough sleep every night? Are you managing your stress well? And are you finding time for connection with yourself, other people, your higher power, perhaps, and your community?
Thank you. And Alicia.
Thank you, Terry. I was going to mention all of those. So to not repeat, I just want to mention one more thing, and is like get rid of toxins in your body, get rid of environmental toxins around you that are making you tired. And from our genetic perspective is like find out if you're a slow or a fast detoxifier, because that definitely can help a lot with finding out exactly why is it that you're tired all the time.
And Brenda.
Oh, Terry mentioned a hell of a lot of stuff that I was going to mention. So it's, you know, basically, I would find out from the person what they're eating and then make suggestions from there. But it's to do a lot with all of them, the health, the lifestyle changes that we need to make. Sleep and stress is a huge one. The supplementation, there are people that are taking supplements that are not really correct. For instance, I'll give you just one. They take D3, but forget to take, they don't know anything about K2, and they have to go together. There's a reason why that happens. So there's a lot. So I can't just give you an answer. I'd have to look at exactly what's happening with the person, what they're eating, and all that kind of stuff.
So personalized health you're talking about.
Yes, yeah, and that's what one-on-one is.
Right.
That's why I love one-on-one. Yeah.
Wonderful. And Mary.
Aside from the food and all of the other suggestions, one thing I really like is journaling and having a really good book. You can pick them up at the dollar store, or Costco has journals now. My husband just picked up another set for me, and decorate them with stickers and enjoy. You can draw, you don't have to write on the lines. You can just color and draw pictures and also have some fun, you know, find ways to have fun and laugh and enjoy your life, because it's your life and you've got to live it the way that you enjoy it.
Wonderful. And Marisol.
I would say if you are tired, go take a nap. It's okay. And then when you wake up, you'll feel better. And when you feel better, book a call with any of us, people, expert in energy and metabolic health, who will help you understand why you feel tired in the middle of the day or why you're sick. You know, if you book with me, I'll do something that I call health span audit. So we're gonna go deeper each area of your lifestyle to see where we can improve it so that you get more energy, and then you don't need to have naps every day.
Fantastic, everyone. And I'm going to stop the recording because we are officially finished for today.